Well, I hope you'll stick around just for a second because when we talk about you, things get really good. The things I want to talk about today it's sort of a continuation of a conversation that I've had with many of my friends recently. So I just went to Grand Island, Nebraska, and I went to visit Tally Creative there. And it was amazing. And it was amazing because I was working with people that have this limitless mindset. And I want to call it the land of limitlessness because, I mean, you just walk out on the street and you're even in like a Hallmark movie. It was just so amazing. And it just reminded me that when we are struggling with ourselves, which I was, when we're struggling within and we're carrying shame and we're telling ourselves stories that are not true, but we're operating according to those beliefs as if they were true, that's where we get hung up, is we think we are living by our truth when that truth holds the lack of love. So I like to say that truth, light, and love, they're all in the same category. It's one and the same. They're all synonyms because we come from this everlasting love, this beautiful sense of love that is our essence. And light, we are all born with the light of Christ in us. That's our conscience. It's the ability to sift and sort. This is right behavior. This is wrong behavior. And then truth in Hebrew means nothing missing. It's full from the beginning to the end. And so truth, light, and love always make us feel good. We literally can't get it wrong when we're feeling good. So that's where creativity lies. That's where manifestation lies, is that we're feeling good first. And when we put our emotional well-being at the forefront of what we're doing in life, everything turns out in our favor. Okay, everything turns out as we imagined. Because everything is actually turning out in our favor, for better or for worse. Like, if we're getting the things we don't want, that's in our favor too, because it's going to be like, hello, tapping you on the shoulder, trying to get your attention that you're focused in a direction that you don't want. So everything is turning out for us, but it's only when we pay attention to our emotional well-being that we get what we want. So if we are living according to beliefs that hold the lack of truth, light, and love, they have the absence of that, what fills its space instead? Fear. Fear is what fills up our belief system to any degree, a little bit or a whole bunch. And the thoughts and fears the thoughts and beliefs we have that have a lot of fear in them hold us back. It keeps us from getting the life we want. So I like to liken this to pottery. So back in the day when I was a young mom and needed an outlet, I joined a recreational pottery class down at the rec center in Aurora, Colorado. And the very first thing you learn to do is to cut the clay, cut a piece off the brick, and then massage it, move it and get all the air bubbles out of it. So you do that you put it in a cone form. And I think this is such an interesting idea, this whole idea of moving clay, because it comes from the earth. And we're big spirits in little bodies. To quote Aladdin, we live in an itty bitty little living space. Like, we have this magnificent energy in us. And we're just trying to make it work in this tiny little place. And as life massages us into this cone shape to get the air bubbles out, if you will, because if you try and pull a pot on a wheel with air bubbles in it, what happens? You get these pock marks, these bulges that it's not smooth, it's not refined, it looks janky. And sometimes our life just looks janky. We're just like piecing it together, and we didn't go through the actual process of getting the air bubbles out of the clay. We call this our clay body, right? So sometimes we're just living with those air bubbles in us, and we're just like, well, it's normal. It's normal just to have these bumps and oddities in our lives. Is it? Is it normal? Is there something we can do about that? Our emotional well-being is 100% dependent on the thoughts we think about, and whether or not those thoughts and all the thoughts strung together create beliefs. If our thoughts and beliefs are holding truth, light, and love, the air bubbles are out. There's nothing janky. We're just smoothly, easily going through life. But if our thoughts and beliefs are holding fear, then we tried to go from just the brick of clay right to the wheel. We didn't want to go to the effort of smoothing out the clay and getting all the air bubbles out. And part of that process is to pick up the clay and slam it down. Sometimes we get slammed and then we just massage it. It's just life. And the other analogy I like to make using clay is once you get all the air bubbles out and you fully moved the clay around and slammed it down and moved it around some more and slammed it down and moved it around some more to get all the air out, that now it's time to put it on the wheel. You just little bit of water on the wheel. The wheel is not moving and you just slam it in place. And the goal is to get it as centered as possible. So let's say you're just this small little chunk of clay. Now you're in the middle, the cone, the base of the clay is now mostly centered on the wheel, but not quite. And so now you turn the wheel on and now it's spinning because our life has just got momentum to it. We're just getting up. Like, have you noticed that it's like time is collapsing? Like you barely wake up and it's time to go to bed and the week goes by super duper fast. Okay, so that's life speeding up. We're being expected to collapse time in our lives and get more done when it seems like time is going by extraordinarily fast. So you got this clay, and if you don't touch it, it's got some wobble to it. But if you press your hand into the clay and you're just kind of giving it a little top press and a bigger side press, and you push it in there, it will eventually conform to where you're holding your hand. And so this little wobble just kind of smooths out, and then pretty soon it's just spinning at this nice little vibrational speed. And it's in the middle. It doesn't have a wobble to it anymore. But if you apply too much pressure, which is sometimes what we do to ourselves, we're applying way too much pressure, in fact, and those are our shame thoughts and our shame stories, and we're applying too much pressure on our clay bodies, our life and the life we say we want. You can actually push the clay right off the wheel. But you can also get it out of balance. Like you can not push hard enough or you can push too hard. And either one is going to create this even bigger wobble. Now, some of us are really intent on getting that wobble out. We just want it nice and smooth and centered because then it's super easy to just dig deep, pull wide, lift it up, shape it, move it, and it grows and it turns into this beautiful creation. That's your life. But if we don't bother to center it, if we allow our inner guidance system to be out of balance, that it has this big wobble, and then we're fighting against the life we want. We're worried about what everybody else thinks of us. We're just all focused on the fear of who's right and who's wrong in the political world or the world of war or the economy or any of the things outside of us that we really, as an individual, don't have control over. We can contribute, we can put our 2 cents in, but we can't control that, but we're making it part of our inner world. Now we're just like all over the wheel. And when that happens and you try and pull a pot, you're trying to find the center, but it's controlling you. You're not controlling the clay anymore. The clay is controlling you. So you're like trying to dig deep and keep a bead on it and then trying to pull it and then and next thing you know, you've got this Dr. Seuss looking thing. It's like, well, that is not even what I imagined when I came in and intended to, do pottery. I pictured myself a true potter and just being able to craft this beautiful vase and create something that's never been created before by my hands. And when that intent, as we go through life, that's our intent. And then we notice that we have this really strange looking, out of whack, gobbledygook kind of, you got thin walls on one side and thick walls on another side. And you've got your foundation now is too narrow and the top is too wide. And this thing is about to collapse. That's when we're super frustrated with life. And we're not getting the results that we wanted. How important is it to you to smooth out your life, to center yourself in who you are and what you want, without worrying about the noise of the world, without allowing other people's opinion to move you off center? What are you doing that's causing you more work, more fear, more frustration, more anger, more shame? What are you doing? Because nobody else can do that to you. Otherwise, what you're saying is everybody else needs to change so I can be happy, and that's codependency. That's you giving your power away. And so if you are ready to take your power back and center yourself, then you will no longer be available for all of this crazy wild life that you have lived to this point. When you become unavailable for that, the chaos, the noise, the emotional holes that you keep stepping in, the emotional chaos, aka drama. When you're not available for that, then you can only be available for the other things, the good stuff, the ease, the peace, the harmony, the flow with life. Because then you can shape it any way you want it to be. You can turn it into whatever you can imagine it could be. And you don't have to start over. I've found that that's not healthy for us. It's not healthy to start over again. Like we think when we're getting a divorce, or when we're leaving our religion, or when we're changing jobs, or when we find ourselves in a financial pinch that we never saw coming. We think we have to start over, but you're not. You're not starting over. It's life asking you to stop the wheel. Center the clay. Sometimes you have to scrape the whole darn thing off, but you're not really starting over because you're wiser now. And that's the difference. Starting over is like, I have to go back to learning how to cut the clay off the block. No, you don't. You now know that the amount of pressure you were putting on your life was either not enough or it was too much. And we have to find the balance in the middle so that your thoughts are working with the emotional outcomes that you want. We want to feel good. We want to feel happy. We want to feel enthusiastic. We want to feel looking forward. We want to feel good. And I always say that good and God are the same. The difference is one O. If you want to feel closer to God, you want to feel good. And when you feel closer to God, you do feel good. Those two go hand in hand. And so feeling good, it's your job to do that. No one else can help you feel good. You can have good friends. You can have supportive friends. You can have friends that check in on you and see how you're doing, but they're not the reason you feel good. Feeling good is a choice, and it's a choice that starts with your thoughts, and your thoughts all added up together create your beliefs. So if you are thinking and believing in certain ways, and they bring up a negative intonation in your body, that affects your behavior. You will do things that work against you. And if you're doing things that work against you, you're still riding the struggle bus. You're still arguing for your limitations. You're still paddling upstream against the current, hoping to get somewhere. And you're not here to do that. You're not here to suffer. You're not here to struggle. We're here to learn our lessons quickly. Learn them quickly so you can get on with life. And that's why you're not starting over, because you can start with the wisdom you have and you can move forward quickly. But sometimes you need a little help. Sometimes you need a little guidance. And sometimes you need a lot of support. You need support saying yes to this and no to that. Try this instead of that. Like, that's what a coach is. Even coaches have coaches, because we need that barometer that helps us know that we are moving in the right direction and that we're going to get there. So if you've ever struggled with yourself and you feel like you're wobbling, or that you didn't take time to even take the air bubbles out of your life in the first place before you threw your life on the potter's wheel, hoping to get the best results possible, we have to start from the beginning. And that means we're starting from where you are. We're not going back. We're not going to pick at the scabs. We're not going to, talk about how we didn't make good choices. That's starting over. But we do need to start at the beginning, because the beginning is where you are right now. And that's the perfect place to be. You're at a place where you are unavailable for that stuff back there. You are at a place where you are only available for the good stuff that's coming up there. So I hope that you will take a chance on yourself. You can hit me up in the DMs. Seriously, ask questions. If you don't know what you don't know, it's really hard to know what you do want. So hit me up in a DM. Let's talk. Let's talk about you and what the real struggle is so you can create the life you want and become this beautiful, intentional creation that you were meant to be. Thanks for listening.